Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is all right. And take care of two cats that are hungry and wanted to have food. So, just gonna take care of this. Open this in here. This over here. And this over here. And I think we're gonna be pretty good to go. That's good. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. I'm playing around with radio, actually tuning in even WWV on the ICOM receiver that you guys don't see, but is right here. I'm not very happy with the setup. It seems very noisy. This is what you hear. But the needle is stuck at S9 of noise. So I have the impression that the coax used with this right now is not very good quality, as it has a lot more noise than all the portables and all the other receivers that I'm using right now, including the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. So kind of interesting here. So hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the live show that we have every week, twice a week. It's a show about radio. And it's a show where we talk about shortwave radio mainly, but we have all sorts of other things that we talk about radio related, sometimes not radio related. It all depends on how the conversation is going. We're having snow squalls and sun. So it's like it's sunny for 5 minutes. It's snowing real strong for 10 minutes. And that's been pretty much the afternoon right now. So hopefully there's going to be more snow than sun for this show because I have the sun right in my face right now. So anyways, I need to find a solution for the window to have some really good shades to block everything when I do live shows. Anyways, welcome aboard. My name is Jill. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We talk about radio and we are here to entertain. We have two shows every week. One is at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday for most of North America. It is 7 p.m. It's 8 p.m. I'm in the summertime. 7 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday for our live show here in Wednesday evening North America. That's 0 UTC. So for a big chunk of the world, it's actually Thursday UTC time. We are here also on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time. And we are here to have fun with radio as usual. Answer questions. It's a great place to be if you love radio, want to share your passion with others, and maybe learn a thing or two at the same time. And if not, well, we're just here to have fun anyways. So nice to have all of you on board, my friends. There's a chat room where you can actually join and have fun with other people. That's also something cool where it is always nice, always a lot of fun with everyone showing up and saying hello in the chat room, answering questions. It's a great place for the newcomer to the hobby because you have the ability to just have some fun and join and ask questions without the fear of anybody just not being happy or whatever. So anyways, nice to have all of you on board. Let me check the email first because I got some emails. So Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada saying hello. Nice to be here as usual. and she will be following along and tuning the bands on her radio. We have Graham. Nice to have you here from Milton, Ontario. Says, hello, Joel, Paul, and Paul the Cat. Hope you're well. And nope, I did not get my end-fed antenna yet. It's, for some reason, stuck at customs. Somebody's wondering what I'm going to do with wire, I guess. So nice to have you here. And we have Nick Sharp from a wet and windy England. So nice to have you on board. And he says his 44-year-old Tandy long wire Ariel, has survived a once-in-a-generation winter storm. Doesn't look like its bare stranded copper wire is deteriorated much. So yeah, wire is pretty sturdy if it's a good size and it's well hung up. It can last many years. I mean, it's surprising how these hold up over time. And it all depends on the way that it's set up too. It's like I've always had I've had some in trees. Those are the ones that probably fall the most easily because, especially if you put it quite high in a tree and it's very windy, of course the wires always dangle from one side to the other when it's windy, and you got to give it some loose to make sure that it doesn't snap. But if it's between two fixed objects that never move, that actually helps the wire stay a lot more sturdy and up in the air, probably for longer, because it doesn't have that movement. It might move; it's very long because of the wind, but it's not like when you hang it in a tree. And so it's surprising how long these can last. Actually, where I live before, I believe I had only one wire up for the entire time that I lived there. And I lived there from somewhere in 1990, I'd say 1992 until about just early 2000. So I got here in 2000. So during that whole period of like 8 years ish, it was the same wire. I never changed it. It was whoops. Sorry guys, there's a delivery. Okay, we're back. Sorry guys, I had a delivery. Completely forgot. No, it's not a radio. It's a brand new coffee maker. My old coffee maker gave up this week, so I was looking for a replacement model. So cheers. And I'm going to try to catch my breath from running 3 stories down and up. So anyways, great place to be. We have a Facebook group also that is a great place for follow-up if you have this urge to share what you're listening to, your radios, ask questions, or maybe just um, tell us what you're listening and show us your setup, your Radio Shack. It's a great place to be. Also in the Facebook group, 2,400 some members right now, so it's a great place, indeed. And of course, hope that you have a lot of fun being with us, sharing, and having fun with radio. Okay, Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. Fastlow, nice to have you here from just north of me in Montreal, not that far away, actually. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here from Morgan City, Louisiana, WA5107 SWL. John Hummel Newell, V5, JHN, nice to have you here. We have David, KJ4CMY. We have in Central Georgia, we have Rob in Phoenix, Arizona. Charlie McKee, VE2XCC, just west of Quebec City with snowdrift. Yeah, here we're having some snow squalls. At times it's really heavy snow and then it just clears up and sun shows. Robert Cross, nice to have you on board as usual. Let's see. Scott, nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Gary24 fan, nice to have you here from Northern Maine. I've been able to join the last few shows, but happy to be back. Happy to have you back. TVDXer, salut, j'espère que ça va bien toi aussi. Oui, ça va très bien ici. Matt in Denver, Colorado, nice to have you here, says 56 Fahrenheit, 14.8 Celsius, sunny in Denver, but going to get cold. Yeah, we are at -3, which is what, about 27, 28 Fahrenheit, but it's going to drop down tonight. Archer's Alley Crafter's Kitchen, nice to have you here from Massachusetts, enjoying the $5 Sony AM/FM portable picked up at Goodwill this week. Cool. Maybe the most sensitive medium wave set I've ever used, even more sensitive than the GE Super Radio 2. Wow. Okay. That's cool. VA3 JPX, nice to have you here from Ontario. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board from what else we have? WA0113 SWL, of course, call sign for Shortwave. Dwayne, nice to have you here from Northeast Tennessee. We have Matt says 10 meter is open. Heard a ham from Panama working phone about an hour ago. Andrew Simpson, nice to have you here from England. And VA3JPX is in a lively city for the past few weeks, Ottawa. Of course, the official drink, which is vodka cranberry juice. Robert Cross got a Sony SW77 working, and he's waiting for capacitors, I guess capacitors maybe, for the Shortwave 7600 radio. Still haven't arrived yet. DJW883, nice to have you on board from Southeast Pennsylvania. PLF Radio, bonjour, bienvenue. J'espère que ça va bien dans ton coin du monde. Toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous. What else do we have? Just catch up here. I've for some reason the chat room didn't refresh. Now it's refreshed. Okay. Paul Saunders, nice to have you here from Goose Bay. Richard Busby, nice to have you here from Clear Cold Day, Western Chicago Burbs. Danielle, nice to have you here from Manchester, New Hampshire. KC1MRZ. Brad, nice to have you here in 5LUL, WA5192SWL. Zen Farrows, nice to have you on board. Following along with a burger and chocolate shake for lunch. Drake R8 in modified Yulu. Cool. Anthony Franz, nice to have you here from Port Richey, Florida. It's 70 Fahrenheit. That's perfect weather to go outside with a radio, actually. Richard says, wife is out of town. Good day to skip chores and listen to the radio. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Greg, nice to have you here. We have Jeff Williams. Nice to have you here from Southwest Cornwall. Steve, 2E0WZL. Nice to have you here from the UK, where it's stormy. René Charbonnier and Classic Radio Classic Sunday. Nice to have you on board, my friend. And says 3 more weeks, and then I have exam for amateur radio. You're gonna get it. Don't worry. It's gonna be cool. And if I can get my infant antenna someday, we'll exchange. We're surely gonna exchange at some point on the bands. Would be cool. Ken, nice to have you on board from England. We have Trevor. Nice to have you here from Prince Edward Island, Canada. We have Mad Max 2069. Nice to have you here from Ohio. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. John, nice to have you here from Finland. I won't even try to pronounce the city where you are or the region. Lawrence, nice to have you here from Switzerland. Raymond, nice to have you on board. Chuck, nice to have you here with the sunny 68 degrees in Texas. Maniac DX, nice to have you here. Neil Rigby from UK. Terry Cook, nice to have you on board from Western Montana, KF7BQ. We have Matt MDK2 says received 12.5 meter, 42-inch aluminum telescopic mast for Spider Beam the other day. Still need to get it deployed. Cool. What else do we have? TVDXer, new antennas arrived. No. Not, unfortunately. Nothing radio related. Really just a coffee machine. You guys would have loved it, eh? A radio arriving during the show and an unboxing. Nah. So I don't know why people think that when I have a delivery that it must be a radio. I don't know why you guys get that funny idea. Out of all the deliveries in a year, probably radio is like 80% of deliveries. Man. Yeah, 2 weeks until Shortwave Winterfest. And by the way, at Winterfest, the International Radio Report has been added to the schedule. The International Radio Report show that we usually record, me and Sheldon, on Friday afternoon will be recorded live on the Hospitality Suite. It's time for you guys that join into the Shortwave Festival. If you want to be in the radio, we'll be interviewing people. We'll be asking questions. We'll be recording all of that, and we're going to divide that into 2 categories. One will be the official show that we'll put on the air on CKUT for the Sunday morning following Winterfest. And we'll also take, if we have a lot of people participating, we'll also take part of that and have a special YouTube show with the rest if we can't fit everybody into 30 minutes. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys want to be in the radio, hey, it's time for that. What else do we have? Pause for station identification. Paul's fan mail. I like Andrew. M. Phillips, nice to have you on board. Art, nice to have you here. Chris Powell, nice to have you on board from Minneapolis, AE0IY. Gary 24 fan says we had some coin down. It was an antenna. It wouldn't arrive on a Saturday since it's by Canada Post. So the only time it could arrive is from Monday to Friday. Zen Pharaohs has 21525 WRMI, 15825 WWCR, 15610 WWN, 15140 Cuba, and 15,000 WWV. Let's try those here just for the fun of it as we are with this radio. Let me put the sound. 21.525. And by the way, that's 25 megahertz WWV right here on this ICOM. So that's 21.525 coming from WRMI, which isn't bad. And we have 15825 WWCR.
Again, Jesus, pray first.
Steps are here, but we're going to lower that step. Step. There we go. And of course, we have also WRMI 15770.
Impact on me, it's because
WEWN 15610. Very, very noisy though.
Yeah,
that's 15 megahertz WWP. So pretty much everything is received here at this time. Greg, on my Ethon SSB, my SSB does not work when I have used fine tuning. I like to have BFO on the Ethon instead of fine tuning. Yes, SSB does work, and BFO and fine tuning like that is exactly the same thing. It does work. You're just not using it right, but it does work. Definitely does, Greg. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take on my Ethon SSB, and I'm going to actually do some videos this week. So maybe that's going to help you out. Steve, 2E0WZL, could someone please tell me the name of the Facebook group, official SWL channel? It's the same name as the channel here. So Facebook group is official SWL channel. Same name as the YouTube channel here. Michael, nice to have you on board. Chicago Mike. Rick, nice to have you here from Milwaukee. 000, nice to have you here from New Jersey. KT2ANN. Thanks, Rob, for sharing the Facebook group. Tom DXer, WPE2QED, nice to have you here from Hudson Valley, New York. Snow squalls blowing through here now. So, yeah, pretty much the same weather as we're having here. So, what else? Barry, nice to have you here. G6 JMX, nice to have you here. David has lemonade, his drink of choice today. What else do we have? San Farrow's also getting China via Mali on 13630 and Spain 12030. 000, very windy snow squall moved through here. We have Jeff King, nice to have you on board from Jacksonville, Florida. And nice to have you here. What else do we have? 11965 is possibly that from Madagascar. Get it here. Not very happy. It's very noisy on the Hi-Com. I should have put the Texan. I like the Texan better for lower noise. I guess it's the cable I'm using. Okay, what else do we have? Fastload, is it the shortwave coffee machine? If they did a shortwave radio coffee machine combo, I'd be the first to buy it. Jim's Radio Check, nice to have you on board. Picked up one of the little SDRs. Raymond says, hope you're well in Canada at the best West Yorkshire, UK. Charlie McKee, we are forced to assume that a delivery to Joel is either a radio or radio accessory or batteries. Yeah, I guess that's the default of you guys. Stephen Wood, nice to have you on board from, and he says, special event station W80 from the Bethany, Ohio. Currently on 14286. Let's check that out. 14.286 in upper sideband. I haven't used this radio in such a long time that I forgot how to go to the bands. Upper sideband. I'll put it here also on the Hairspy 14286 and see if we get anything on the waterfall. Leave it there to see if I hear something. PF radio. Am I waiting for some radio-related device, radio antennas? The only thing that I'm waiting for is my end-fed antenna that's being shipped. That's still stuck at customs apparently for amateur radio use. So I'll be able to go on the bands from 40 meters to 6 meters. Jim's Radio Shack Walmart has the SDR DSP radio like I have for $80. Really? Wow. Walmart. That's funny. Kind of interesting to see that you guys at Walmart have things like that. Here it's never like that. Anything else? Matt must be getting tropoducting. I have WWV on 25 megahertz in Denver. Wow. Usually in the skip zone, yeah. So PF Radio is happy to see my big ICOM again. Yeah, it hasn't been used in a little while. I hesitated. I went for what was the quickest way to set up because the other idea was to put the Kim with our 5000. Dave, nice to have you on board and happy Saturday. Greg, does the Texan H501X have a charging plug? Actually, it comes with a little cable for charging that you can plug to any standard USB charger for charging the internal batteries. The only thing is, depending on where you're going to buy it and the type of shipping you're using, you might actually not have the batteries with the radio. It's very, very important to know that. Matt's getting Shannon Vomit for 13264 upper sideband. First time copying on that frequency. It's weak, but there. 13264. Let's try that. 13264. Am I getting it here? Nope. Oh, maybe very, very weak in the noise. I'm hearing a little bit on 11253. I'm not hearing it on 5505 yet. So, what else do we have? And Matt says WWV on 10 megahertz. Wow. That's interesting. Jim's Radio Check. It's exactly the same one that Joe has. It has a battery, but no case. Huh, interesting. Art Dodd, nice to have you here from New Jersey, K2ADC. David says VOA has 3 special event stations on air today and tomorrow. I bagged what QSO with the Ohio station. So this is cool. This is cool. And one is in Washington. Third is in Greenville. Cool. Bobby Burgess, I guess after further review from the last week or two, the MLE30 is still number 1 for indoor shortwave listening. Yeah, pretty much. Zen Pharaoh's interesting. The R8 has a nice smooth audio reception of 11965, and yours was very noisy. But here it's because this is noisy. We're going to do something here. I'm going to try something, okay? And we're going to compare because I want to see the difference. So let me take the H501 again, and we're going to tune the same station, but I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch the antenna. So what I'm going to do, I do have another one here. I guess this is, yeah, this is good to go. If I'm not mistaken, I have already a wire for my portable right here. So I'm going to tune the same signal, one with the Texan and one with, so let's go to, I don't know, 11965. So that was very noisy here.
Excellent. He can do this.
And Joshua, who also went, agreed.
It's a little better now.
That sounds very good. Off to the promised land.
Well done. The other command said, "We cannot attack those people." Hearing this, the Israelites were afraid. The people were afraid, son. Like grasshoppers, you know.
And on the Texan. Whoops, battery's dead. I need to change the batteries on the H501. I used it a lot yesterday, so there we go. But it definitely is better on the Texan. Look how clearer and less noisy it is on the Texan.
Return to Egypt.
I hate him.
Oh, that's a little better than it was. So this is kind of interesting. But, let's keep both radios running. I'm going to put this like this, and we're going to have some radios running here. I'm just going to change the battery off of the H501. So let's take this off. Batteries. Let's change both batteries that are probably need to be charged and put them here. The two original batteries that came with it. Here we go. There we go. And put this back here. So we'll have a good running radio. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Bandwidth. So it's going to be interesting to compare both radios. Okay. What else do we have? I'm just going to check out the email just once again to make sure that I've not missed on anyone saying hello. And I guess everything is all right. Yep. So anyways, but here we do have a lot of noise already to start with. But I think that the coax going to the ICOM is not very good. There is one thing also that I have to say negative about the ICOM R8500. Compared, say, to the Kenwood R5000, its audio is kind of a little harsh. The R5000 has definitely better audio for a signal. Okay, Man Max. Not sold directly by Walmart third party. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Phil Tube, nice to have you here. Archer's out of Crafter's Kitchen says, kind of cool to be sending the balsa fins for next model rocket building. Wow. I found while looking at the my box of junk, I actually found 12 motors, 12 C65 engines for rockets. I think I have everything. All I would need is to build a rocket and I'd be ready to go. John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. Richard, enjoying the show with a hot coffee. Feel the reception to Radio Romania. And when I hit send, not sure if you want or not. Michael, MLA30 rocks anywhere. Stephen Wood, anyone have a recommendation on logging software for ham contacts? Sure, some people would have, I would guess. I logged them directly in my QRZ.com account. But I will. I was thinking of doing something on the Chromebook here, where I'll log the different ham stations I'll contact eventually. PhilTube has many shortwave radios. That's always cool. Charlie McKee, today 10,000 to 16,000 kilohertz is incredibly noisy today. Lucky, I like digging in the static. And he's using AR71A. Dwayne, what is the wait time buying a radio from an Onco to be delivered? Within a week. An Onco, you'll have your radio within a week. It's always very fast. The last radio that I ordered from there was the Texan PL 368, I think. And ordered on a Friday, and I got it like on a Tuesday, the next Tuesday. It's extremely fast. Yeah, somebody. I don't hear the VOA special event station, but I hear some hams contacting the VOA special event. What else do we have? Matt Icom seems to have a thing with weak built-in speakers, probably to drive sales for externals. Yeah, I've always used the external speaker on it because I always thought it was better. And but it's more than that. It's even the audio itself. The audio amplifier within the ICOM is kind of a little harsh on the frequency response. It's much better on the Kenwood R5000. Others out of Crafter's Kitchen. Those engines never go bad. C65 is what I used to launch Big Bertha. Time to start official model rocket channel. And it's tough here. You know, I did a lot of model rocketry with my nephews when they were actually very young. It was one of the fun activities. We'd go to the park and we'd launch rockets. I'd bring FRS with us, and we'd just have fun. But you know, life continues, and one of the things that happened here, it was difficult to get engines. Most of the hobby shops that used to carry engines for model rocketry don't want them because their insurance cost, it goes skyrocketed because they have, you know, kind of, you know, stuff that could really get fire and explode easily. So they have rockets, but when you ask them for the engines, it's like we don't have engines. It's like, okay. And our engines I have here, I have thanks to the source, which when they became Radio Shack became the source, they had a lot of stuff left over from Radio Shack. And I went to a source downtown Montreal, and they had rocket engines. And those would typically sell for about here in Canada, if I remember well, they were like somewhere like around $15 for a pack of 3 C65. And I went there. I saw they had, I think, 4 packs, and those are the ones I got here. They had 4 packs, and the guy, I looked at the guy because there was no price, and they didn't find any price. They couldn't find in a computer. It wouldn't scan. So the guy looked at me and says, "How about $5 each?" And I look at the guy and says, "Sold for $5 each." So I got all 4 at $5 each, which was a bargain compared to the real price. And I thought, you know, I'm going to use them and get back into model rocketry and everything. And I never really did. What I would probably like is to have a new starting pack, because I don't, you know, I know I have the metal rod to stick the rocket on, but I don't think I still have the rocket launcher base and everything. And I'd like to have one. So maybe I should look into like a starting kit with a rocket. So I already have the engines. All I would need is this, you know, the the launch. Yeah, you can do it yourself, I know, but you know, have there the Estes model launch pad and everything would be kind of cool. Maybe this would be cool this summer. The only thing is there are changes here and a lot of changes that gets me a little worried. In the 90s, you would launch in the 80s and the 90s, you would launch a rocket in a park. Nobody would, care about it. In 2022, I'm kind of in a mode where I'm not sure that it would be a good idea in the city to do it again. And also, I do think, because I was launching from a park near here, the airport here is what, 30 kilometers from here, maybe to the west. And and here are two corridors for planes. I'm not sure, but also I think it doesn't meet the requirements for safety to launch from here, actually. So I would need to maybe go outside the city somewhere. I mean, put a C-65 on a very small rocket, it gets real high. It's pretty surprising. So, that's where it's interesting to see how radio guys have hobbies that really go together, and we all kind of share the same basic hobbies around radio. Um, model rocketry, electronic kit building, all sorts of things like that. And you're like, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how everything evolves and how and I think it's because also we're kind of hobby guys. We like to do stuff. It's not just radio. I remember when my dad he would on Sunday sometimes he would look at the stamp collection, and I had my own album, and I had we had a box of stamps that for me that was um, something so wonderful. I'd go in the box and we had thousands of stamps from all over the world, and I don't know where that box came from. And I would try to find the stamps that match in my album, and it's like there was something magical about sitting down on a Sunday afternoon, the radio on shortwave on some station, Radio Moscow or whatever. And that would give me actually I would listen to Radio Moscow, and I was like, oh, let's find the envelope with stamps from the USSR. And it was just so cool. So cool. And of course, stations back then, a lot of stations, they would send you letters with a lot of them had stamps on them, which was really cool at the same time. Robert Cross building up his shortwave radio collection. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Ken Lansing, another broad question. What have you heard or experienced regarding Russian radios in general and their kit radios in particular? I saw a couple, the Dresnay and Druzhba on eBay for 340. I have zero experience with any of those. I've seen some stuff like that. That's kind of weird, but I have no idea. I can't say anything about it. Um, rocket powered antenna. You lost your rocket with a very thin wire and try to catch stuff on shortwave while it's up in the air with a parachute. Richard filled out is shortwave. I just understood something interesting. So okay, I'm talking to myself right now. So let me just go back down here. So Richard filled out his form for the SWARL yesterday and read something that they said they were not sending out certificates now. So, well, the certificates are sent by email. I know that somebody mentioned last week there was a batch of certificates that were sent last week. So, anyways, check out the best, and one of the things about the certificate, a lot of them go into your spam folder. So you might think after a month and a half, well, I haven't received mine, but yours might actually already be done on that website. They have a database of all the certificates. Search the database by date. Look at all the most recent ones that were issued. And at some point, if you don't see it, you don't get it, go there and check if they issue new ones. You'll probably be in there. Mine was, I didn't receive it, probably because it went into the spam folder. And I went on the website and I found it there. I could actually click on it and I printed a copy, downloaded a copy of it, and I printed a copy of it on glossy photo paper. Gabrielle, nice to have you here from Uruguay. W8JV, Jim, nice to have you on board. Couple of free hand logging software are AC Log and 3FJP and N1MM, so we could check that out. Human721, hello there, nice to have you on board. 000, it's the audio IC chip ICOM uses, yeah, possibly. John Beckham, nice to have you here. Richard Califano was DXing today with the PL368 and pulled up your video to refresh. They really help. So and a lot of them coming. Like I always say, time is the biggest problem that I have in making videos, and I need to have more time on my hands. But I want to tune the bands with every single popular radio that you guys own because I think it's going to help tremendously. I don't know how many people told me just tuning with the H501X on the frequency ranges, explaining what you can hear, and you guys seeing me actually switch from single sideband to AM and to depending on where I was, helps you understand even more how to tune around. So that's already a step forward. And add to that the fact that you can do it with a radio you already have, you can follow along, which is even more fun. So lots of that coming. And they're very popular. People really, really want to see those videos. Gary 24 fan, man. When I was younger, I almost got into model rockets, but I have enough with radio and model trains. Well, model trains another thing that I did a lot when I was younger. I loved that. I loved that. I loved my uncle. We would go to. It was so funny because when you get to it when you're a teenager, you start at a certain age you start telling your parents when they go somewhere, I want to stay home. Can you just go and leave me alone? And you get to a point where they're going to be like, yeah, okay, I guess we can leave you alone. And it was so funny because when I was about 13, 14, they would leave me alone and go spend a weekend to some uncle or whatever on a trip. And there was one place that I would always go. Every time they would tell me that we were going on my uncle in Sherbrooke, I was always like, oh, I'm going to go. And my dad knew why, because he had the biggest train set you could imagine. There was a whole village. It was built on a huge piece of plywood. It was amazing. And I mean, it was so cool. And so I would go there and my uncle would look at me and says, yeah, go ahead. You can go play with the trains. And I'd go and play with trains. Oh man, that was so fun. It was like, okay, this is my weekend. I'm gonna spend the weekend playing with the model trains. And he had several trains, and he had everything. There was the switching, the electronic switching, and everything. All you had to do is understand how it all worked, and you'd have the trains going. You could have like 3 trains. There were separate tracks. You could have up to 3 trains running at the same time and you could actually have them interchange tracks and stuff. It was like, wow, they were so cool. That was the only place I would say, oh yeah, I'm going to Uncle in Sherbrooke. I'll be there. And I guess last time, man, I went there too. I was maybe 14 or 15. It was just so much fun for me. It was like, oh man, I want to go. Oh God. I mean, that was so cool. Charlie McKee in the early 90s found out how hard it was to set up a rocketry club in British Columbia. The demos for city and park apartments, they demanded huge insurance. Yep, and that's the problem now. Artist Out of Crafter's Kitchen says starter set is the way to go. Get the Astrocam set, and now you're set to an HD camera to film launches. Parks are harder and harder to find now. I have to leave my city because can't launch from here. I have last time I launched a rocket was, I'd say, somewhere in the early 2000s. And I remember I launched from not far from here on a pretty big park, which is the one that park is the best because it's a big park and it doesn't have a lot of trees. So the chances of your rocket getting stuck in a tree somewhere because of the parachute is minimal. And I remember going there and I launched 6 or 7 times. Um, and I saw a police car stop by. They didn't say anything. They watched me do my stuff, but it kind of made me realize, I wonder if they're wondering if the legality of doing this in the park right now. Am I legal launching a rocket from a public park in the city here? And my quick answer would be, I think it's probably not allowed. But like most people, these are things we don't see very often. They probably didn't know if it was or not allowed. So, so that's why today would be, yeah, what do I do? And um, should I, could I launch from here? Andy New, nice to have you on board from the UK, M7CUN. Stephen Cook launched a few with my children in the UK, but I built my first rocket more than 60 years ago after reading an article in Reader's Digest. Used sulfur and zinc dust as fuel. The first rocket I ever launched, I had my brother gave me for Christmas a huge physics set. It was the best physics set I've ever owned. It was a very expensive set at the time, and it had something like 500 experiments, physics experiments, and it came with everything you needed. And of course, out of the 500 experiments, a lot of them had to do with space exploration. And of course, there was a rocket that you would build and launch. And that was the first time ever I actually had a model rocketry. And but I didn't know where to buy engines at the time. So I launched. It came. I think the box came with 3 engines. And after the 3 engines, it was like, well, this is so cool, but I don't have any more engines, and I don't know where to buy them. And it was much later that I found out where we could buy some here in Montreal because not everyone was carrying engines. J Projects, nice to have you on board from San Diego, California. Donald Hosmer launched some rockets in Dearborn, Michigan in the late 80s, forgot to cut slits in the chutes, and they drifted a long ways from us towards the Palestine part of town. Bad news, they had Israeli decals. Yeah, that's not the best. That's not the best idea, I gotta say. That's not the best idea, I gotta say. Um, what else do we have? Let me check. Trying to find where I was. If I can jump over. So, David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board from Spain. Just finished hooking up the DC cable for the light, the power SWR meter for his Alinco DR735V UHF transceiver. Cool. Cool. What else do we have? So Donald Hosmer said, "Betty chalk some locals." Yeah, you know. Mad Reader DXer, nice to have you on board watching soccer match. Yeah, SS Rockets. Laura Robertson, nice to have you on board from Italy. iMapper, nice to have you on board from Moscow, Russia. We have we have, let me just go down. David says used to do remote control flying several years ago. Nothing special, just electric foam planes at a multiplex Easy Star. I had one model plane, which was kind of a foam electric plane. I was more into remote control cars and trucks. That was more fun for me. I still have it here. When I started doing my tech jobs, the first few years, I had a lot of time on my hands because I didn't have a full schedule of clients yet in the first couple of years. It built up over time. And it came through a moment where one of my best friends was not working because he had hurt himself at work, and he had I don't know, something like 6 months without working. He would go to the doctor, and he would have physiotherapy and all sorts of things. So during that 6 months, which was in the summer, he had a lot of time on his hands, and I had some times in between clients where, some days I didn't have any clients to fix the computers yet, but it was rolling enough for me to pay the bills and everything. It's just it was still a little quiet because the time that it takes for people to talk about your jobs and stuff, and have new clients all the time. And I remember that summer we were going to different places that we knew would have maybe model rockets or remote control or whatever. And we'd go and check them out and see what they have. There was one place particularly where they would get stuff from, we didn't know where it come from. They would, every day they would have new stuff. A little bit like a Goodwill, but it was not a Goodwill. It was an actual store that just got whatever was left in, a warehouse somewhere. They had an area where they had remote control stuff, toys of all kinds, and so on. And that summer, we started doing one thing, and I told him, "How about every few days we go and see what junk they have?" And it was so much fun because we went one day, and there was this story is interesting because they had a remote control um, car. It was one of those uh, man, what are the popular small cars? Dang, I forgot the name. That kids like Hot Wheels. There we go, Hot Wheels. And so we go there, and they have a Hot Wheel remote control uh, dune buggy, and it looks cool, and it's like $25. So I look at him. I said, "You got $25 to spend?" He says, "Yeah." Well, I got $25 to spend. How about we each get one? You get the one gets the 49 megahertz. I'll take the 27 megahertz because they were still in those frequencies. And he says, "Cool." But the funniest thing is that car came with a battery adapter. So by default, it was made to get um, four AA batteries, which was 6 volts. We tried it, and the first hour we're like, yeah, ain't going very fast. It's okay, it's fun, but I would have liked it if it goes faster than that. So we look at it, and I'm like, oh, look at this. There's a screw, and we could actually put a rechargeable battery pack, the 7.2 volt battery pack that remote control cars use. So I look at him and said, I got some at home. How about we go charge them? And we try that. So you'd unscrew the AA battery adapter, and you would have the place for the battery, and the plug for the battery pack. It was a standard plug that most remote control cars had at the time. So batteries are charged. Plug that in. We go try the car. Boy, did it go fast! And we were like, "Oh God, this is what we wanted." And so it turned out, don't use it on AA batteries. It doesn't. It's crappy. Use it with a battery pack. Oh boy, that thing was fast. And what happened? It turned out that what happened at the time, we went on eBay, and I said, hey, how about we go on eBay and buy a couple of battery packs? And we found Tenergy battery packs, which was very interesting because they were nickel metal hydride and IMH, where the ones that I have were NiCads, but they didn't last long. And that thing, they'd last 35, 40 minutes, and then you had no more battery. But they were 1,000 milliamp. The NIMH ones on eBay were 2,400 milliamps. So I thought, well, this is interesting. How about we try those? When we got them, at first we were a little deceived because we got them, we charged them, and it wasn't going very fast. And I was like, well, okay. It's almost, speed of AA batteries. But it improved when the battery started heating up because of the current drain. As the battery was getting warm, we were getting up to speed with the real speed of a regular battery pack. And that's when we found, okay, we got to let it warm up a little bit. Once it's warm, it works great. And we would have, instead of 40 minutes, we would have like an hour and a half of gameplay, which was much more fun. So we would do races, we would do all sorts of obstacle courses. And basically, we were kids as adults. And so that summer, we had remote control cars. We bought a remote control helicopter that they got there, which was a very cheap, basic one, but it worked. And it would go quite high. And we would go to places where there's no trees because for some reason, if you have a remote control helicopter, it always goes in a tree somewhere. But that summer, we had tons of fun with all sorts of remote control toys and stuff. And I have the Hot Wheels here. It still works very, very well. One of the biggest problems of the Hot Wheels, because we ended up, because when we got the two and we saw how fast they would go, we knew that there were two more left. So we hurried back and purchased the two other ones. I said, if those go bad, we've got those ones to rely on. And it turned out it was a good idea because the Hot Wheel had a defect. They were using plastic gears and everything. And at high speed, the plastic gear was the little teeth of the gear, the little dents, were wearing out too fast. We ended up with, it was just, we'd hear the motor run, but it was not giving any more, power to the wheels. So we had the other one to rely on, but at the same time, we opened it up and started comparing, and that's when we did some little modifications so that the gears would last longer and that the car would last longer. And so the one that I have here is a modified one with the gear that is much more sturdy, and it still works. But man, that was a cool summer. I know, guys, it's not shortwave, but it's radio. It's radio controlled stuff. WF7I Umbra, nice to have you on board. And you're from Virginia. Greetings all. Today is my birthday, 50 years young. Cool. Happy birthday, man. 40 years of radio. That's cool. Happy birthday, man. What else do we have? Brad says he used grasshoppers as payloads in the rockets. Stephen Cook, CT7AOX, XG8CYE. Nice to have you here. David, someday I'll dust the planes and continue the work I was doing on it. I'll also apply the radio knowledge I gained since then. WF7i homebrew. Use N3FJP for logging contacts. Works well. And many use QRZ.com as well. Yeah, I use QRZ.com, but I wouldn't mind maybe using more of a software inside the PC for that. So I'm going to check that out for sure. Bill has a question. For shortwave listening plus hams on the HF bands, I have approximately 80 feet of random wire at 50 feet high. If I switch to 500 feet length and go up 70 feet high, will I notice substantial difference? Um, on shortwave itself, for a lot of the bands, 80 feet is long enough, but definitely, and as you go lower in frequency, you'll see a difference. At 500 feet, you will actually see a huge difference in the medium wave, long wave bands, and in the bottom part also, like in the 160 meter band, 80 meter band, there will be a difference, but don't expect it to be that much of a difference on a lot of the spectrum, though. But as you go lower in frequency, definitely, definitely. The fact that it will be higher might also kind of lower the amount of noise that you have. Richard, also have done model railroading, a lot of wiring and water gateway. Great way to work on project with kids and grandchildren. Yep, absolutely. No problem, Rob. Um, Scott says go on Mount Royal and launch. Well, that would be the highest point in Montreal. And then all the radio stations go off the air because my rocket went into the Radio Canada tower. What I would do, and that's what I told, because my nephew has found really big engines, and those definitely would not be something to use in the city. So what I told him, what I told him is, look, what we should do is go out to town in some field somewhere, or where he'll have a farmer or something, and ask the guy, said, look, we're doing model rocketry, would you mind for us today to launch from your field, because it's big and we'll have enough space for it, and do something like that probably. Donald Hosmer, regardless of whether it's legal to launch, Jill, you have that shifty look. I bet Homeland Security here in the U.S. would grab you for questioning. Radios, rockets, and letters from, communist countries. You're gone. Jen is currently listening to many Russian Air Force frequencies. Let me just find where I was again. Now I got something that I understand a little more. It jumps when it actually refreshes. A lot of traffic on shortwave. You have some frequencies, Jen, that you can throw at us to see if we can get some. Matt MDK2, I haven't seen anyone launch a model rocket in decades. I have no idea where that's allowed or if they're still sold. Yeah, they're still sold. They're still sold, but first, I think like all hobbies, it's not as popular as it used to be. And the other thing is, with regulations getting stricter all the time, that also probably scares some people away from that. But yeah, I haven't. Look, I'll be very honest. I launched rockets with my nephews. I think I've seen once in all of my life somebody else launch rockets here in Montreal, and that was in the late '80s. And I do not recall ever seeing anybody else do that. Chris, nice to have you on board. Thank you for the nice comments. M7CUU from UK. Nice to have you here, my friends. What else do we have? Yeah. PLF radio AF, I would guess, is Air Force frequencies. Bobby Burgess, WA8139SWL, congratulations from WA5107SWL. So pretty cool. Joe, nice to have you here from snowy Rochester. Richard found an old tape recording of 1966 called the Ham Operators Club on PBS. They were talking about propagation and how skip happens. Wow. Charlie McKee, if in a city was near airports, there was a 1,000-foot ceiling limit, even some 25-kilometer approximately from the airport, due to flight paths into Vancouver International Boundary Bay. Yeah, because I know that there are some limitations for the airport, and I know that the smallest rockets I launched with C65, we estimated that they would go more than 1,000 feet easily at the time. The big ones don't because they're heavy, so they don't go as high. But I had a couple of very small ones. Those definitely went, like, we couldn't see them anymore. We would see at some point a parachute, and we would launch a lot of them because in a city, the biggest problem is, when the parachute opens and that thing is really high, it's going to come down real far away from where you are. So every time we had small rockets, I would always tell my nephews, we're going to use this small rocket, but let's consider that this is a lost rocket because we won't be able to, get it back. We had a lot of fun once because it was a windy day, and you don't launch on windy days because your rocket's going to just blow away real far. I would angle. I know it's not supposed to be done, but I would angle the launch pad so that it goes to the opposite direction of the wind. And so the rocket would fly away, and then the wind would bring it back almost where we were in the park. It was like, wow, this is cool. It brings it back almost at the launch site. But, not to try at home. Okay. But that'd be fun to try. Yeah, Estes is still in business. Absolutely, they have a lot of products and a lot of things. They're still in business. They are, I think, the biggest maker of model rocketry around, and still today. I don't know if they still sell as many rockets as they used to, but yep. Gary 24 fan, I'll help get us back on topic. CHU coming in real strong at 5850 in northern Maine. And so he never hears it there. Let's try it out here out of curiosity. 7850. Does it come here? Nope. I'm hearing 3330. Let's try 3330 on the ICOM. See if it comes in well there. That's on the icon. The icon.
CHU, Canada. Coordinated Universal Time. 21 hours. 18 minutes. 13 minutes. 18 minutes.
There should also be Radio Prague.
United States.
Yep, Radio Prague 15770. In English. Let's see how well it comes on the
We're supposed to prove this hypothesis. But to what extent did he?
That's how noisy it is on the ICOM. It's quite noisy here too on the Texan, so I don't know if maybe conditions are noisy around here. But what else do you have? Matt has CHU coming real strong on 14670. He hasn't tried the lower frequencies. Richard says, I always receive CHU on 7850 during the day, and it's the first thing I ever picked up on shortwave. Brian, N1F and N1FI, nice to have you here from Massachusetts with some snow squalls. WF7I Homebrew, my late father introduced me to model rockets when I was a kid. I remember a D-cell multi-stage rocket that went high enough to vanish from sight. Had to hunt around to find it. I had a geeky radio story with this, by the way. You're talking about rockets that you just don't know where they are. Um, in the 80s, if as you guys might remember, I would go to Radio Shack and they had these brown boxes that were surprise boxes. So it was like $10 and you didn't know what was in there, but you got a box full of electronic junk. And one day I bought one and it came with a 27 megahertz transmitter. And it was obviously a transmitter part from a remote control 27 megahertz toy, probably. So when you would apply power, I'd get a tone on 27145. And I probably still have that somewhere in a box here. One day, when I was doing a rocketry with a friend of mine, I had the idea because where we were, we had it was a little windy and we had like difficulty finding our rockets sometimes. And what we would do is we'd build our own rockets. So it was like, well, if I lose it, I'll build another one. But I said, it'd be fun to find the rockets that we launch. And what I did, I had an idea. I said, you know what? I got a small transmitter and it works it will work for quite a long time with a little button cell battery like there's in a watch, for example. So the whole thing isn't very heavy. I said we could actually put it in the rocket and we could, have a little piece of wire go along in the rocket up to the top. And that would give us maybe the possibility to recover it. The only thing I was worried is when there's that explosion to pop the parachute. I was like, I don't know how it's going to handle that now because that's the compartment. It was that or strapping it to the exterior of the rocket, but that would change its, the way that it actually goes up in the air. It's dynamics. So the first rocket we tried, I put the circuit. I thought, well, parachute's gonna when it's gonna blow for the parachute, it's like it's gonna stop working or something. No, it actually continued working fine. And that rocket went real high, and we lost it pretty much out of sight. We didn't know where it fell, and I had a little shortwave radio with me on 27145, and I said, "Well, we're gonna try to find it. We know it's that direction. We should be able to get a signal." So we started doing chasing around, and as we were moving towards the direction, I said, "Oh, we're starting to hear the tone." So it's definitely still working, and you know, it's let's try to find it. And we found it in a tree, uh, 3 or 4 streets away, and we were able with a stick, a broomstick or something, to actually fetch it out of the tree. But that was fun because it involved radio that I loved, model rocketry at the same time, and it was kind of cool to even my friend was like, "This is kind of cool." Not only we launched a rocket, but the chasing around with your radio to try to find it was kind of really cool. And we never did it again, but it was a lot of fun. Zen Pharaohs turns out the cables between the receivers and multi-coupler have intermittence. Okay, what do we have? Zen Pharaohs, Zen Pharaohs. Um, okay, yeah, you got to have good cables between the multi-coupler. That's for sure. You got to have good cables to make sure that it works well. I got a couple. The multi-coupler showed me that I had a couple of my cables that I had been using for a while that were a little shady. So, Jim's ready to check. DX is rolling a good on 10 meters right now. No copy of 14670 in upstate New York. Spain in Northeast Florida, says John Beckham. Spain. Mad Max 9690 coming strong in Ohio. Richard, like Joe said, there have been a lot of changes. When I listened to the late 60s, there was so much. I heard most of the idents Joe plays. Yep, it's a different hobby, but it's still a lot of fun today, too. WF7I, V31ZA in Belize calling strong 28411. Let's check that out. 28411. I need to set up to contact these stations. Am I hearing anything? Nothing here right now. If I look at the waterfall of my SDR, 10 meters here is very, very quiet from what I see. I might be not sure. Yep. Pretty quiet here. 10 meters seems to be rather dead here, actually, compared to. Aaron Gibson, nice to have you on board. His first HF receiver arrived today. Cool. Now the fun starts. John Beckham, CB 11 meter skip conditions are currently ideal. Artists out of Crafter's Kitchen, Ukraine and ham radio operators are possibly going to be the most sought after stations in the next few days. Will be interesting to listen to. Yeah, it is amazing the amount of emergency action messages from the U.S. Global Command heard in the last. I'm gonna leave it as just a little background here. 11175 upper sideband. In the last week, it's been crazy the amount of messages there. So we have the Magazine 76 is W8115 SWL from West Michigan. Nice to have you here. Jim's radio check has skip on 11 meters, booming. Pirate on 6925 in Virginia, S9. So let's check it out. 6925. Anything here? Can't say I hear. Oh, maybe very weak, but I'm not sure. 6925. AM mode. Okay. Let's check it out here. I am in. Oh, yeah, it's definitely there because I hear the tone. One killer hits off. I could hear a tone. So it's definitely there. But it's like really washed out in the noise. It's too weak. Scooter cranes. Have you ever seen full-size rockets launch? Oh, I've seen a lot of. There's a group that I used to follow on YouTube that have these huge rockets they send out that pretty much go almost into space. They're like, really very, very, very high. Those are amazing. John Beckham has 6925 Northeast Florida. So I guess it's more of a a pirate radio station down in the southeast of the U.S. Yeah, ARLCW contest. There was a lot of Morse code today. Absolutely. Conduit, the call signs, and it depends on where you live, by the way, but the call signs come from the swarl.org website. You got to register there. Bobby Burgess just shared the link to that. Long in the Tooth TV. Nice to have you here from the UK. Getting interested in ISS. What do you know about it and receiving signals from space station? So you can receive the space station when it's overhead on multiple frequencies. You have the frequencies of the International Space Station itself that you can hear on VHF and UHF. There's also quite regularly some experiments, low scan television being sent out on 145-800. There's the packet the packet BBS on board on 145-825. So there's some activity, there's some stuff in there. Sometimes they have it happens that they have contacts with ham on the ground. So it's there's some stuff definitely from the ISS, but you don't need that complex of equipment, honestly. Signals are often very strong from the ISS, but you need to know when it passes over your area, though. Mark, nice to have you here from Oak Creek, Wyoming. No, WI is what is WI Wyoming? I'm out. There's a few states that I'm totally WI. Wisconsin. No, Wyoming is WY, right? That's Wisconsin. WI. Richard, nice to have one of the lower radio fell off the tram 1411. Will that change my reception? Shouldn't affect that much in reception in general. Hope that that's why you need to have them really, really screwed in very, very tight and very well into the base of the antenna. You'd be transmitting with it, it would change a lot because it would completely change the pattern of transmission. But on reception, I don't think you're going to see much of a difference. Jetcrafter, nice to have you here from Southern Maine. Carl is in Tennessee. Archer's Crafter's Kitchen says Estes is still the powerhouse in model rocketry. They recently bought the last black powder manufacturer in U.S., which should help keep the hobby alive. And one of the things also that happens, because when I wanted to get back into model rocketry, I remember going online and they're not going to ship you these motors because they're shipping explosives. So no shipping company wants to actually ship that. And that's also the big problem. So Jim Gordon, nice to have you here from Scotland. It's crazy price time again on eBay for 6,217 pounds. You can get a limited collector's 300K unit anniversary Sony ICF 7600. Yeah, what a bargain. Quebec Z76 getting 20 megahertz S9. Mark 15770, perfect in southeast Wisconsin. John Beckham 15770, Radio Prague being received in northeast Florida as well. John Doe, nice to have you here from St. Louis. We have WF7 Ion Brew. Wondering if any of you have installed gamer style speakers with subwoofer for use on radio. There's been a game changer for me. Audio is much more pleasant, like huge wooden console radio. I've actually used a pair of computer speakers for what radio was it on? I believe it was for my ICOM at some point. A good pair of computer speakers were actually very helpful. I think a good pair of amplified speakers on a lot of radios is definitely a good thing. And we talk about how, like I talk about how the H501X has amazing sound and amazing audio for music and everything. But one of the things that's interesting is also to note that any portable, even like a Texan PL330, add a pair of like good computer speakers, and you're going to be surprised at how well and how good the audio suddenly becomes just from the headphone jack. It can be very, very surprising. Zen Pharaohs 15770S7. Man Max in the 80s had a Tyco Red Super Hopper RC buggy and a Radio Shack Wild Horse RC truck. CFW, nice to have you here. Anybody remember the book From 5 Watts to 1,000 Watts sold at Radio Shack? I don't remember that. Sunny LM, nice to have you here. Charlie McKee, we always launched helium balloons to watch the wind levels before the rocket launch area as well. Launch area was taped off. Yeah. Joe Spring, what I would do on my launches, by the way, in the park here, what I would do is I would put little pickets with, like, yellow, a yellow ribbon, like like the cops use. Just don't go into that area, and we would be careful. It's like I mean, this hobby of model rocketry is nice, but you got to do it correctly because it could actually be dangerous. And so what we'd do is we'd look around, make sure that there aren't people too close and so on, and then when we'd see that it's okay, we'd launch. But I remember one launch that went wrong, and it was one of the rockets, the base of the rocket has become loose, and so the motor, when it launched, went through the rocket stayed there. The motor went through and fell a little further away, and I saw someone starting to run to go and catch it, and it's like, no, don't, because that rocket has the thrust, and then after that it's going to have that little explosion for the parachute. Don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. And that's where you got to be careful with what you do. Joel Spring, nice to have you on board from Florida. 21630 BBC Ascension was booming earlier today. Yeah, quite a few stations. I heard Radio France in French on 21690. Not yesterday. I think it was Thursday. And I hadn't heard that in a long time on that frequency, can tell you that. John Beckham, as the days are getting longer, each day the propagation of frequencies, say 14 to 18,000, are improving. Oh yeah, absolutely. We're in that time. I mean, we're a month away ish, roughly, from the equinox. This is, for me, this is exciting times with the gray line positioning and the way things are. We are getting some interesting propagation. And add to that we got higher solar flux. Pretty amazing. You know what? This week we had, if it had been Earth directed, that thing would have been amazing. On Space Weather, they showed a far side explosion that was incredible. They think it was something like an X20 flare in on the far side of the sun, which is a huge flare. If that thing had been on our side, we would have gotten some major geomagnetic storming. So that's going to be something to look for. As the sun is getting more and more active, we're going to check that out. Jetcrafter, not shortwave comms, but I was listening to NASA U2 and P3 flying around New England and Quebec this morning on 2459.7 megahertz. Studying weather system. U2 was above 60,000 feet. Wow, pretty cool. What else do we have? Sinfaros. Yeah, I thought the multicoupler might be weird until I realized the cables were the culprit. Already ordered quality replacements. Yeah, it's definitely important because the multicoupler, that Streetsbird multicoupler, is expensive for a very simple reason. Its specs are amazingly good, and it's not supposed to have any spurious signals or any kind of weird acting overload, it is really amazing. But put bad cables on it, and it's going to start to be very, very funky and very weird. It's very, very important. Carl, does anyone have the 2022 World Radio TV Handbook? Yeah, quite a few people here bought it. Quite a few people here actually bought it. Jen, how about 3940 kilohertz radio free waves bay from Belarus? Here in Canada, it's still daylight outside, so 3940 is not going to make it, not yet. And most of these, especially Belarus, which is kind of further east in Europe, these are very difficult up here. WS7I Homebrew, 10 meters seems to have mostly died here too, just last 5-10 minutes. Yep. John Doe, nice to have you here. Watch your videos. Can you offer any updates on the Ethon Elite Field Radio? There is no update, honestly. There's really nothing much I can. If you're talking about the one that I have, look, it's okay, but I'm not impressed. And for the one the upcoming Ethon, well, we're gonna wait for that to appear. Sunny LM, nice to have you on board, Sunny from Australia. New to ham, is there any website to tell us what exactly ham frequencies that are broadcast live at particular times, similar to shortwave info sites? Actually, amateur radio operators don't have schedules. They just pop up. What you need to know is mostly what frequency range they are into. If you actually Wikipedia ham radio frequencies or just Google ham radio frequencies, you'll know what frequency range to listen to. And from that, there's no schedule because ham radio operators are just, guys like you and me. They go on the air whatever they want to go on the air. The only things that might have schedules on ham bands is the different nets. There's all sorts of amateur radio nets that are on a schedule every day and every week. That will have schedules, but for the most part, it's not like shortwave broadcasters that they pop up at whatever time. What else do we have? So David repaired his Sony radio. Pretty cool. Jim F, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. Scott has 6925 very weak in Massachusetts. Here I know it's there, but it's not strong enough to actually to be heard here. Matt is tuned to 6925 on the W3HFU QESDR in Maryland. A good signal there. John Beckham, WWV, very loud on 25,000 kilohertz in Northeast Florida. Christian Marcus, salut. J'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you here, and it was nice to see you on the CIDX Zoom. Also, that was the monthly Zoom meeting on CIDX. As you know, I have the MLA30 on my porch. My porch is on the 7th floor. Do I have any advantages and or disadvantages as I receive signals from this height? On a loop like an MLA30, if you're 4 or 5 feet above the ground or higher, it's not going to make much of a difference for shortwave itself. If you had other types of antennas, there are antennas that do have an advantage of being at a higher altitude. But, shortwave in general, and especially like I said with a loop like you have, it'd be on the 1st or the 7th floor. The problem is not the height. The problem will be mostly the noise level around you. But for the rest, you shouldn't really see that much of a difference from this 1st or the 7th floor as shortwave broadcasting. But on other frequencies, it makes a difference. If you would tune around, say VHF, UHF, being on the 7th floor definitely gives you an advantage of how far away you can receive a signal because you're really high. and these are line of sight in general. John Hummel Noel says check the IRS website for updates on the ISS. Zen Pharaohs, I don't know about there, but 15555 upper sideband is 5. I haven't heard 15. I was wondering that the other day, actually. 15555, I had not heard in a long time. So is it there? Not hearing anything here. 15555, I haven't heard up here in a long time. Yeah, I figured it was Wisconsin. Tosenlof, nice to have you here from Alabama. Man Max has yet to hear the ISS on the UV5R, just been unlucky. Eat cheese or die. Christopher Cullen, nice to have you on board. Long in the tooth TV, not watched you for some time. What happened to your shack when we could see all of your gear behind you? Waterfall. It's the same shack. It's just a different positioning. I'm reorganizing slowly all the stuff. So in the next weeks, we should have. I should have the possibility so that I can do the show from one side or the other and have a different perspective. For now, we're on this side with my firewall. But we'll have a different view from time to time on the show here. Michael Brown just bought some JBL 104 BT speakers, great with the SDR radios. Jim Gordon, nice to have you here. Christopher Collins says, miss the science fair kits and Tandy Radio Shack, good fun, and got me started in the radio. Does anybody remember the shortwave AM kit? Worked really well. I had a 150 in one experiment kit, the one with the wooden box. It was a wooden box, and a kit was in there. And on the right side, there was like all the wires where you could put in the right side. And what I would do is I would have fun making the AM radio, this solar powered AM radio kit on it with the wires. And I had a second kit, which was I think was a 75 in one or something like that. But that one had a circuit which was a audio amplifier. So what I would do, because these kits use that little crystal earphone, and what I would do is I would build the amplifier on the other kit, and I would drive the audio of the AM solar radio to the audio amplifier kit, and that would give me strong enough audio to listen to on the second one, which was kind of fun. And I was so amazed that I just put the kit in the sun in the summertime, and be hearing AM radio was like solar powered, and it was just lots of cool stuff and cool times. Underside Crafter's Kitchen keeps a copy of the model rocketry safety code in my range box in case anyone challenges safety or of the hobby or my skills. Yeah. Rule number 1: if your model rocket doesn't launch, don't immediately go and check out if it's what's wrong. Give it time to make sure that it ain't gonna Kill King 110 rocketries like kerosene lanterns for people that didn't grow up in the family of pyros, don't understand basic safety rules. Yep, absolutely. Christian Marcoux talking about rocket. About 30 years ago, my friend was throwing the infamous lawn darts and winded up landing on their neighbor's picnic table while they were eating supper. That was the end of that. Youch. Yeah, well, X20 Flare would have started with a shortwave blackout that would have probably been for a couple of hours, and then that geomagnetic storm that would have reached us. And I mean, when you look at the video on spaceweather.com, that coronal mass ejection was huge. I'd be curious to know what that would have done if it'd been Earth directed for sure. Another Pirates on 6955. Let's check it out here. Yeah, that one's good. That one's not bad at all here. 6955. Oops. 6.955 upper sideband. And here we go. So that's the Pirate 6955 on the icon. Not too much of the songs as not to get a copyright strike. We got a copyright strike on Wednesday for one of the interval signals that I played. Man Max says I'm going to have to get one powered coupler that has front end protection because my receiver antennas are going to be located close to my transmit. Yeah, I got to be careful with that because it could really blow out the coupler for sure. WF7I Homebrew 6955 with music. Skip, nice to have you on board. N2EI, just in from the other meeting. Nice to have you on board, Skip. What else? We have Richard, just plugged my computer speakers into my PL368. Wow, it's like a tabletop radio. Yeah, absolutely. WSI Brew getting 20 and 25 megahertz WWV in Virginia. Jen has a strong pirate station from the Netherlands on 1645. So yeah, you're getting a lot of those European there in Finland for sure. Matt says, I don't have good external speakers, but I use my Sony studio headphones a lot. It shows how good the audio really is on a lot of receivers, especially when I tune to FM, local FM radio. Yep, definitely. Zenfaros 2025 carry only, but can still zero the dial on the FRG7. ManMax, either hook my shortwave receivers to my SMSL AD 18 amp or hook my Maono Studio headphones to them. BA3 JPX, the 160 and 1 kit was amazing. I loved mine. Keegan, nice to have you here. X1080Xer from Northwest Arkansas. John Doe, will a studio monitor type speaker be better for shortwave listening as external speakers versus, say, PC speakers? It all comes down to the audio frequency range and processing. So if you have speakers that are amplified, if they have, particularly if they have controls for like bass, treble, and all of that, and you can adjust all of that, they often are some of the best. So it really depends on the frequency response of what you're going to listen to. Just plug it in and see. Chris Powell is getting some AM activity on 12 meters, 24,960. Mad Radio DXer is back. We have anything else? RJ Dakota, you got a strike on the interval signal. Which one? That's so strange. Yeah, Radio Moscow. It comes because of the. It happened a few times, and I just didn't care this week. Usually, I actually say no. You're not. That's not yours. The group that makes the CDs for like number stations and all of that. I forgot their name. Anyways, they have decided that number stations and interval signals are now copyright content from them, which it can be because it's not their content, and they're not allowed to do that. So what happened is a few times in the past when I would have a copyright strike from them, what I would do is I would tell YouTube, nope, I am not, no, this is not a copyright strike. They're not allowed to do that. And they would always back off. Every time I did that, they backed off. This week I was like, who cares? But honestly, I should always like have him back off. It's like, yeah, come on, guys. The Lincolnshire poacher is not your recording. I'm sorry. Okay, please. I'm tired of that. It's like it's not because you made a CD out of interval signals, for example, that hey, it's your copyright now. No, it's not. This is not your stuff, and it's owned by somebody else. If the owner of whatever comes back to me, it's like, yeah, okay, it's your stuff. I know. For example, the funniest thing is that Moscow Nights has never given me any copyright strike. For some reason, YouTube does not have any record of that being a copyrighted song. I would guess it must be, but I would guess I don't know. It's nobody ever took time to, claim on that or whatever. So it's something that is weird. I would have expected a Moscow Nights to have a copyright strike, but not interval signals. It's like, yeah, right. But I'm usually very fierce on that when I get a copyright strike and I see it's a little shady. It's like, no way, and then we're gonna work. I'm gonna file a claim. This is not right. Most of the time you get it. It's like, yeah, okay, we were backing off. Because I mean, come on, it's like if I would record part of Radio Romania for 10 minutes and then decide and claim that this is copyrighted. Anybody else that has that Radio Romania recording, no, that's mine. Copyright strike. Yeah. What are you talking about? First of all, the owner is Radio Romania, not you. It's like number stations. Come on. You're going to tell me you have the rights of a number station, you know? Please. Those are weird things that happened in the past and not even made by you. No copyright. Sorry. It's so crazy. Steve, 2E0WZL, speaking of blowing out the receive front end, has anyone ever experienced this happening? Oh, I'm sure some have. I'm sure some have. I am very extra careful here because now that I can transmit with a full 100 watts with my FT450, I am careful not to transmit close to any amplified antenna or anything that could really really suffer from an experience like that. I know that the Streetsburg multicoupler, they tell you be careful because you could blow up the front end really easily if you're not careful. So you got to be very very careful for sure. Then Farrell shipped to the MLA 30 Plus for amplification. FRG7 doesn't have built-in lower noise amplification. But given that 6955 USB music, once tuned, stays in tune. That is the point of the Wadley loop and why I have one. Man Reader DXer had a copyright strike for recording that had the Turkish national anthem. Yeah, you have another copyright strike possibility if you record any station that would have the Russian national anthem. You'll actually have the copyright strike for that. John Doe, notice that Periscope Films on YouTube is posting old films and claiming copyright. There's a lot of also copyright bashing on YouTube. You got to be careful. There are groups that will go on YouTube and claim copyright strikes to get monetization. Because what happens with a copyright strike is if your channel is monetized, like mine is, the money from the ads on that video now go to whoever claimed copyright. So a lot of shady groups are actually claiming copyright on stuff they don't own because most of the YouTubers will probably never, they don't know and they will never kind of say, well, no, I don't agree with this. And so it's a way for them to make money. But I always go, when it's a real copyright. I played a song from a station and I get, one of the big music companies claim strike. Yeah, okay, I know. So fine. Sometimes what I'll just remove the audio clip there. But when it looks weird or shady and it's like, no, 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 no. I don't agree with this. I'm going against this. Charlie McKee, Feel Elite, fine, simple, decent receiver for those getting back into a hobby and unfamiliar radio. Just learning to listen is best served by not having tons of knobs and functions. Oh yeah, it's a straightforward radio. And I get this all the time. A lot of people mentioning how they find that a lot of the small portables with tons of buttons on them are kind of complex to use. Saskia KW, nice to have you here. Keegan in 2020 tried posting a station ID of 88.9 QCS in Fort Pierce, Florida. Station ID, which included Patchel Bell's Canon and D. Upload failed twice. I thought it must have been a copyright issue. Yeah, usually the upload isn't the problem. It's uploads, but it tells you, whoop, no, there's a copyright claim. Feel of War Tune, copyrighted every number from 1 to a billion in 1984. We'll be receiving a letter from my lawyer. Yeah. That's a lot. There's a lot of that going on. It's pretty crazy. Take care, Chris Powell. Nice to have you on board as usual. Matt says, decent number of my videos have copyright strikes, but I don't care. I don't have nearly enough subscribers for monetization. That was never the intent of my channel anyway. No, if you don't have monetization, the only thing that it could have a problem with, if you post content and it does that, what happens is that sometimes it blocks the content for certain people in certain countries. It's like, for example, when the International Radio Report, we did our Christmas show. That was that special show we put on the YouTube channel. I posted a link for a MP3 direct download also. And the reason I did that is because I told Sheldon, I said, there's a lot of copyrighted content in here. So when we're going to post it, we're going to get a claim that there's copyright content. And of course we did. And I said, to make sure that everybody can actually listen in onto our Christmas special, I'll put a link to an MP3 file so they can at least download it if they can't view the video. Yep, like patent trolls. Absolutely. Metro DX are like trolls trying to claim copyright they don't own or trying to ruin YouTube careers. Yep. Most copyright claim on YouTube don't end up in any problem with a channel. Like, for example, if you post a music video, or if I post a recording of a radio station that played, say, Michael Jackson song, when that happens, it's usually not a copyright claim that is a problem. It's copyright. They're just going to tell you, so there's this is copyrighted by that group, and so the monetization is going to them. But it doesn't do any official problem to the channel. They just tell you, no, it's all right. If you're okay with it, there's no problem there. But it's just that, there's a lot of copyright claims that aren't, at all true. And you gotta look at that. It's like people stealing videos. I got one, when people are idiots. I got one guy that stole 5 or 6 of my videos 2-3 weeks ago. And actually YouTube told me. YouTube came back and said, you might want to look at that guy's channels because I think 5 of your videos are there, And of course, he took 100% of the videos and put them on his channel like it's years content. And actually, I looked at his channel. It's only that. That's the only thing he does, and he does it from other channels also. So first of all, what I did is I claimed that those are stolen content from me, and I own the rights. And of course, five, because when you have one strike of you stole content from someone, okay, there's no, they tell you got a strike, it lasts 6 months, and they tell you, well, don't do it again. But you got three chances on YouTube. So if you got three strikes, your channel's taken off. And so I claimed five videos, which meant his channel 24 hours later was not there anymore. I get an email saying, hello, sir, please remove copyright or a claim from my channel. I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, go to hell. I'm sorry. You stealing other people's content. You think I'm going to be nice? Go to hell. Oh man, people trying to get away with other people's content is like, what the hell, Just crazy. Jim Gordon, some UK listeners may remember when Moscow Nights was a top 10 hit in the UK, as Midnight in Moscow by Kenny Ball is and his Jasmine. Anyone UK reviewers remember? John, some TS signals too, as WWV is strong, long time since good conditions in AM to North America. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Zen Pharaoh says actually copyright numbers doesn't work, but you can patent a number if you can prove nobody ever used it before. Yeah. WS2H, nice to have you here, Kevin. Recently read the book Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon, a dystopian novel which is laden with shortwave and ham radio. Recommend to any readers out there. Oh, interesting. Always fun to have any books, movies, any content that has radios or deals with shortwave or radio in general is always kind of cool. John Doe, are you still happy with YouTube even with the copyright issues? Have you thought about joining other sites like Rumble? You know what? There's nobody that compares to YouTube in monetization and the way stuff happens. So anybody that monetizes content will tell you, look, YouTube is far ahead of anybody else. Now, there are other options that are slowly coming in. There's all sorts of things that can happen. It depends the way that you monetize also. I don't have merchandise. So it's a different monetization on my case. A lot of newer content creators will rely more on merchandise, selling stuff, which I don't want to deal with and I don't want to have anything to do with personally. As for YouTube, when you get used to it, I've been using it, very regularly since and very intense since 2012 now. You learn to deal with all the way things works. You learn to understand what you can say, what you can do, what you should stay away from. There's a lot of people saying, well, there's a lot of there are a lot of censorship on YouTube and stuff. Put yourself in their shoes. All they want is not have any trouble from anything. They don't want to get sued because they accepted the content. They don't want to, and I totally understand that. It's not censorship. It's I don't want to get sued and I don't want to have advertisers go away because I leave people saying stuff that shouldn't be here. Um, Deal it what you want. Some people call it censorship. I call it, I just want to make sure that nobody sues my ass. That's more what it is. Once you deal with that and understand that, um, you know, copyright strikes, apart from music that I could play, I don't have copyright strikes on anything. There's the shady strikes that you can claim back and say nope. they always back off because when you claim back, YouTube tells them, that guy, if you falsely claim copyright, he can sue you. He has a legal right to do so if you interfere with his business, his YouTube channel. So they always back off because they're like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to go there. So it's, you get used to the way that it's done. You get used to the way that things happen. If I tune the shortwave bands and come across music, you let it play for 3 or 4 seconds, but you continue on. I got a few people saying, why didn't you stay on WRMI the other day? I didn't stay because there was a pop song playing. I'm going to get a copyright strike on not strike, but claim, which will zero the monetization of the video. So if there's music, I just go on real quick. That's all. You still heard it, but I stayed there only 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and then I moved on. What else do we have? Gabrielle says, hit that like button. What else do we have? Simon Templar, nice to have you on board, my friend. Greg, when I was a kid, my dad helped me build it and crystal set from Radio Shack. Cool. These are fun to play with. I had the crystal set from Radio Shack. Jerry Johnston, series Gloria on Netflix. Backdrops is the RFA-RL Radio Free Europe. Yep. In Portugal, first Portuguese film on Netflix. Yep. Very violent, though, but definitely nice to look at if you don't mind the violence. It's definitely something to look at, especially for shortwave listeners. Sunny LM, have you tried Sony Active Loop AN LP1? How does it compare to current loop antenna from China, like the GA450 PK Loop or Degen D? The Degen DE31 MS is a piece of crap that should not be purchased. For the GA450, I don't really know. I can't talk about it. I know a lot of people seem to have been giving positive comments on the ANLP1 from Sony. So, but I haven't tried any of these really. KJ Walda, nice to have you here. W8JB Jemby says shortwave ham loggings, EQSL allows shortwave registration. Ham reception can be logged and exchange online QSL cards with the station. Matt says, if you agree to use a platform you didn't create, you can't cry about the rules later on. People act like they have an unfettered right to access something someone else created. Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you get on YouTube for stuff to do stuff and create content, you follow the content. You follow the rules. When people tell you, well, I don't like YouTube because of this or that. And well, they have rules, and you got to follow the rules. That's it. That's it. Charlie McKee, still slowly looking for radio references, uses in all Cardbarks, Donald Duck, and Uncle Scrooge McDuck comic books of the 40s to the 60s. Oh, wow. There must be a lot of references for radio and stuff, and so many cartoons also from the time. Artist out of Croucher's Kitchen, I challenge every copyright claim and have one every time. Once you start winning them, it's very hard to lose. John Doe, I'm also amazed how Brother Scare is still on the air. Yeah, and it's the group behind it, the group that was behind it, that is that's still continuing. So somebody probably took charge and continues with the old stair recordings, which are just crazy. Jim Gordon, copyright is a real minefield. Check out Sherlock Holmes and Arthur Conan Doyle. There are several claimants for Sherlock's names, crooks everywhere. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Simon Templar says, I have a BC 980 Bearcat BC 980 SSB on the way. Arrives Monday. Oh, you're going to have fun. It's a nice little rig. Honestly, the 980 SSB is a nice little rig. Keegan, when I record station IDs, I receive via Tropo or eSkip. I try to edit out music that played before or after the ID to avoid potential copyright issues. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best way to do it, to make sure that you have no problems. Tuning the bands on shortwave is something you got to be careful when you do a video, because a lot of stations like WTWW will just play music, and so you get across one of those stations and you're like, whoop, let's move on. That was WTW. Christopher, damaged my RSP1A last week. Silly mistake connecting the bias T the wrong way on my FFJ 1886. Watch out for this, everybody. It's easily done in bad light. You got to be very, very careful. Absolutely. If you turn on a bias T, remember you're turning on power. And if you plug it into something that shouldn't get any power, you can damage your devices for sure. Carl, I am on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours UTC, and I'm on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 0 hours UTC. John Doe says, I know Gene Scott's stuff is very protected by copyright. You can't post the stuff on any video platforms. Artist Crafter's Kitchen. Does Overcomer Ministry have a new Brother Stare? Apparently we're waiting, or was that's something I did think about, is that the there's somebody in charge. There must be somebody in charge there. And they surf on Brother Stare's crap. So I was about to say on Brother Stare's teachings, but I was like, no, that's Brother Stare crap. It's not even teachings, it's crap. So there must be someone in charge, or at least a couple of people in charge. I mean, they are still paying for airtime. So that means money is coming in and continuing to come in. The only thing there is I have a hard time thinking that shortwave is such a high profit capability for anything like that. Honestly, honestly, I don't think I can't see how they could make money off of shortwave, even if they're 24 hours a day on 50 different shortwave outlets. I don't know much of anybody that kind of likes listening to Stare on the shortwave bands, and I have a hard time believing that racks in money. For me, it looks more like they're paying a lot of money for airtime, but I don't think it. Nothing on shortwave ever was able to really make money. Look at you guys remember that when that station that was trying to be 24 hours on 93, 95 kilohertz with via WRMI, we were all excited. I'm trying to remember the name now and I forgot. That was based on, we're going to sell airtime for advertisers, and we're going to be able to make, pay the bills and maybe even make money out of that. No one on shortwave has ever made money off of a shortwave broadcast. No one makes a profit. Even the broadcasters. I do not believe WRMI, for example, actually makes money. WRMI is in some way is getting money in from relays and all of that. I don't see how they could make money on anything about shortwave broadcasting. That's where, I often think about there's something fishy about a lot of the shortwave broadcasters. That's where I have the impression that there's something we don't know that is happening for them to stay on. And that's my personal impression. I think somebody somewhere is sending in money because they're saying we got to keep those on the air because if something happens, we'll have those for shortwave broadcasting already. Let's make sure they don't shut down. It's like WBCQ with that World's Last Chance. Come on. A 500 kilowatt transmitter, 24 hours a day. Kind of very, very mysterious what's happening with these broadcasters, I got to say. Because I don't think nobody's making money there. You don't make money on shortwave. I was telling Sheldon Harvey, how can WTWW spend a whole evening playing music and requests? They're not making money out of that. They're just spending, they're spending money, 100 kilowatts of power for all evening playing music. Doesn't rack in any money for them. Yet they're there and doing so. Where's the money coming from? Who has the money to do that? I don't have money to spend on, 6 hours a night, 100 kilowatt playing music to you guys. It cost me a fortune. So it's crazy, Robert Osborne, GMRS. Well, GMRS is most of it is line of sight, but GMRS has in US is very different from Canada and US though. GMRS here is typically walkie-talkies with line of sight. And the US is different. You guys are allowed repeaters, a little bit like ham radio operators, basically. Matter to the Xer, I would do live streams where I tune the bands for European Pirates and also FM skip, but I know I'll get copyright strikes quickly. Yeah, because if you stay on the stations, if you notice, I rarely post pirate station videos. Why? Because if I have to post one, I'd have to post when they talk. Because when they don't talk, it's music. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you on board from Sherwood Park. Greg says my Kenwood R5000 receiver is cool. Yeah, I'm going to set it up at some point and make videos. John Doe, Alex Jones pays $20,000 a month for WWCR live broadcast. I don't know. Yeah, Global 24, John Doe. Global 24. Man, that didn't last long. Morissette says, what about old World War II broadcasts that had commercials? There's a difference between commercial radio on AM, FM, and shortwave outlets. So, Yeah, Charlie McKee, but, tax write-offs at some point. It's crazy. There's Ali Crafter's Kitchen. As fishy as the guys in shortwave are, Alan Wiener might be the fishiest. He comes across like shortwave is a lucrative business, which I'm sure it's not. He's on a lot of outlets out of that. I don't think shortwave is racking in money for him. I mean, I would like to see numbers. I would tell you that. RGA Dakota has the Global 24 QSL card. Carl Icon, China Radio, making it in New York on 13630 kilohertz. That's from Mali transmitter site. Dwayne, do you remember William Cooper and the hour of the time at midnight? RGA Dakota, WTWW operates on internet radio 24 hours a day. That's the difference. On the internet, it costs almost nothing to be there. But operating a transmitter is a different thing, Kenneth Wallace, I found certain religious channels on different frequencies, many the same broadcast. Yep. John Beckham, ATS 25, pretty enough for me to want to buy one. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Bubba Seattle, Radio Educación. Yep, 6185. David's still waiting for his Global 24 QSL card. I think you're not going to have it soon. I'm not saying that it's not cool. Like all of you that are saying, it's cool to listen to WTWW. I find it really cool. I mean, it happens at night that sometimes there's nothing interesting for me on shortwave, and I don't want to tune around. That I'll tune 5085 and listen to music because at least it's on shortwave. So it's not that it's not cool or anything. It's just you wonder, where is the money coming from? You know, you got to ask yourself that question at some point. Um, so it's kind of interesting. Carl Icon, if I'm receiving CRI from Mali to New York, that's coming in from the west? No, coming in from the east, because you're crossing the Atlantic Ocean up to Mali in Africa. It's more like a southeast path to New York. Christopher Cullen, are we being a little hard on the RTL SDR dongle V3? Got mine set up SDR sharp, full size Apple, the gain turned right down, and I'm very impressed with its price. Yeah, it's okay for the price. Where my critiques go is mostly that if you're not very tech savvy, the fact you got to install that special driver, and spurious signals are plenty on the V3. A lot of signals that people report are like, nope, they're not there. You're getting spurious signal here. But it's not that it doesn't receive. It receives surprisingly well on many of the things. So, it's for the price that it is. It's so cheap, and it's nice. But if I would, I can't recommend it for somebody that is just telling me, well, I want a plug and play SDR that works great. I can't say RTL SDR because just the knowledge of having, for a lot of us, it's nothing complicated, but just the knowledge of having to install that special driver. Look, go to an SDR Play RSP1A. It's plug and play and it works, and you'll have a good working SDR from the start, and that's it. No hassle or anything. But it receives definitely. Greg, I'm thinking of getting the Sanjin ATS 909X. What do you think about that? Well, it's a nice radio. It has its drawbacks, but it's a nice radio. Joe Spring, I wonder how WJHR here in Milton keeps going. Yeah, same here. Especially even that one's even worse because not only is it on the shortwave bands, it's an upper sideband. You're adding an extra layer of complexity here. Bubba Seattle says if you're spending $200 on a radio, might as well get an SDR Play. Yeah, but the RTL SDR V3 is like $20. So for $20, it's surprising. Chris66, nice to have you on board. What's the difference between SDR, Play RSPDX, and Duo? The RSP Duo seems to be in stock, while two models are out of stock. The RSP Duo has 2 receivers in it, where all the other ones have only 1. That's the difference. And the reason why the others are out of stock, I don't know if they came back. Maybe Simon Templar can tell us. But it seemed that SDR Play in the UK had been stopping the manufacturing for a while. I don't know if it's due to COVID or whatever, but I don't know if we have any more news about that. RJ Dakota, the oldies are great, and sometimes they hear Linda Moulton Howe on the station. She's a paranormal researcher. John Beckham has 13630 coming on his COD on R108. Cool. But what else do we have? Gary 24 fan heading out. Take care, my friend. It was nice to have you here. Robert Osborne, Radio Estadio de España, 9690 kilohertz. Sounds like an exciting soccer game. Simon Templar, they closed due to COVID. So they are still closed at this time, Simon Templar, from what you know. So I guess SDR Play devices are going to get difficult to find. I mean, when the stock's gone, there won't be anyone. John Doe, how's that Chinese Curium Eliminator doing? Have you done a review of it yet? No, because I haven't tried it enough yet. It's still there looking at me, and I need to find a way to test it out. I thought about something because of my setup. I thought about trying it in the kitchen and with the portable radios, maybe with a portable radio or even with one of the tabletops that I have, like a Kenwood, and checking it out. So Summon Templar backup and running, should be shipping 1As and DX models on the 21st. Okay, thanks for the update, Simon. So that means that the stocks are going to come back. Cool. Nice to know that they're coming back in business. So starting Monday, they're going to start shipping again. Well, okay. So they had that little COVID shutdown for a while. So, but you know, any of the SDR Play devices are good SDRs, honestly. They're all pretty good, and they each have their own, capabilities. So that's kind of cool. Hey guys, I know it's only 2 hours and 30, but I'm waiting for a delivery that'll be a little complex. That is according to the what I'm seeing here is to arrive really, really soon. So that's gonna kind of make me a little difficult in continuing the live show. So I'm going to say goodbye for tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show today. And we're going to try to I'm going to try to maybe, I'm thinking of Monday or Tuesday, maybe we'll try to do a surprise live show tuning the bands like we did the other time that you guys had a lot of fun. So as time permits, of course, because it's a little complex for me to find time, but I'm going to try to find something to do like that, hopefully. So always nice to have all of you here, and hope you enjoyed the show today. Take care, my friends. It's always nice to be here. And Rifleman 336, stay safe, and always nice to be on board for everyone. Mad Max, when I'm at my mother's and have the QRM eliminator hooked up, I have used the MLA30 as the main and the U-loop as the other noise antenna. You know what? I should try that. Actually, I could try that with the W6 LVP loop in the back. I have the W6 LVP loop and the U-loop used as the noise antenna. That could be interesting to check out. So stay safe, everybody. Remember, we are going to be back live officially on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 0 hours Universal Time. Hope you enjoy the show. And stay safe. See you soon. Bye-bye. And possibly a surprise tuning show somewhere in there. We're going to try to have those running. So take care, everybody.